Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It is
Force.
very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
Good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one. Welcome all. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bay. We're coming in live via Love 97 FM Studios. This is Tuesday, the 22nd day of October, 2024. And if it's a Tuesday, of course, you know the deal. It's Maritime Matters. We encourage that if you're driving and tuned in with us, please be cautious and ensure to take your time in getting there safely. Our sponsors for tonight's show are 101 Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all the medication needs, check with my little cousin Shantia McBride and her lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site. That's 101pharmacy.com. That's 101pharmacy, all one word, all lowercase.com. The three locations are East Street South, Charles Sanders Highway, and of course, Explorers Way in downtown Freeport. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS Maritime Security Services. Good night, Auntie May. My good auntie up there in Freeport. That's my Auntie May. Boy, let me tell you something. Auntie May is 91 and going strong on to 92. And boy, she didn't get to go to church this Sunday. She tell me, but you know, she stayed home and did a church thing at home. You know, I told her, Auntie May, you know, it's all in the spirit, it's all in the belief, and once you got it in your heart, at least ain't nobody could do nothing but that. So there it was. You're listening to Maritime Matters, and on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05, that's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. The purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and the international maritime feeds. The phone number to reach us, should you wish to get in on the discussion during the show, is 326-8255. That number again is 326-8255. To hear a replay of this show or any of our previous shows, simply hit us up at any time via our YouTube page. That's Maritime Matters Bahamas. Just go to YouTube and on your electronic device, type in your search box Maritime Matters Bahamas and watch the magic appear. You will see all of our shows going by. You will see this show come tomorrow. We'll upload this tonight. And you know, that's how we rolling these days, man. We ain't leaving nothing out. Whenever you want, you can go and visit those shows. So let's talk maritime. Hello. Tonight we have, as always, a loaded gun for you. We had our guests all lined up, and you know, they got all caught up in some other stuff, and I can understand what they're going through because they planning some big things to go and come day after tomorrow. So we will not have a guest in studio tonight. Sorry about that. You'll be stuck with me, but you can be a part of this. Just call in and let me know what you think about these things we're going to discuss. The topics we aim to engage are as follows. LJM Maritime Institute upcoming conference. That's the big dance that we're talking about. They have a conference coming up very soon as in Thursday and Friday of this week. We'll be blessed with an explosive maritime conference put on by LJM Maritime Institute. And that conference, I think, is their first really solid maritime conference, fully booked, 2 days, experts coming in from all over the place. And it's just going to be a knowledge. If you get a chance to go to that conference, and you can just go on LJM Institute on Google, and you'll get all the details. I got them here, but you only need to know from me, man. Google, and you could check what you want to check, when you want to check, how you want to check, and then especially you maritime enthusiasts, people who want to know more about maritime, people who have licenses in certain areas and just want to know more. This is the kind of conference you go to know more. Otherwise, you can give me a call and I can tell you some more. That's how I began on. Anyway, this is our next topic now. How should the Maritime Cadet Corps dovetail into the LJM system? So we got a national institution known as LJM Maritime Academy, right? Or Maritime Institute. And we got a national program for high schoolers known as the Maritime Cadet Corps. And that's from grade 10 to 12. You do a couple years of going and getting lectures and doing field trips and ship visits. And let me tell you something, man. When you finish with that Maritime Cadet Corps program, you feel like you won't be on board when ship at sea waking, because you got so much knowledge about what's going on already before you even get into university. And I am saying, if we got a system breeding hundreds of students, and we got a system providing training for hundreds of students, then wouldn't it make sense for the lower one to delve into the upper one so that the students have a complete setup arrangement? And the thing about it is, in many cases, you don't have to pay for none of them. None of them. As my old auntie used to say, man, ain't pay for none of them. Right? So, in saying that you ain't paying for none of them, it only makes sense to me that there should be a handshake. Somebody need to grab one in the left hand and grab one in the right hand and just merge or cause one to delve into the next. And that's the LJM Maritime Institute would be fed. It will have a feeder system called the Maritime Cadet Corps. And I believe to some extent that is happening. But we need to make a deliberate effort. Because I can tell you, a lot of students coming out of school, they don't know what they want to do. A lot of them don't want to go to university. A lot of them can't afford to go to university. Well, of course, we got UB right there for those who smart enough and can't afford to go away, because you could go to free if you have certain qualifications, eh? But we got LJM too. And LJM provide free tutorship, scholarships by way of some of the cruise ship, by way of the BMA, by way of all kind of different sponsors, so that they don't get as smart as the fella or the lady getting to UB. And you can still get free, especially if you've gone through the Maritime Cadet Corps system, which preps you a little more. And another question would be, what role should the BMA play surrounding this National Maritime Training Institute? Because so far, this is our Maritime Training Institute. This is the one that is national. It's there for the whole country. And it's supposed to be supported by the government entities dealing with maritime, eh? And the government entities that deal with maritime, as I know them to be, is the Bahamas Maritime Authority and the Port Department. So both those institutions, the BMA and the Port Department, should share an obligation to ensure that our National Maritime Training Institute is running courses the way they want them to run, so that they can certify maritime professionals from the bottom level all the way up to the top. And I'm saying that because this maritime institution is not very old. It's still relatively new, very well equipped. But we need the professionals, specifically or particularly the BMA, with that big hub of maritime certified people working in the technical section in the London office, and we got one or two here in the Nassau office that are doing port state inspection, that would obviously have had to go on through a lot of this type of training, that have served sailing ships and understand what it takes to inspect a ship. These people also understand what it takes for Maritime Academy or Maritime Institute to run properly. So I say the role they need to play is by lending their expertise in guiding this LJM that has been selected as the National Maritime Institute for the country, Training Institute for the country. So I say to the BMA technical section and technical officials and officers, get into that institution to the extent that you're holding their hands and helping them to walk the right path based on what is required from our International Maritime Training Convention. That would be the STCW Convention, which has the STCW code Part A and Part B. Because it's not as simple as it sounds to package a program that's required from the international fleet, maritime fleet, to certify people to come and serve. So we want to make sure they're getting it right. And we want to make sure, because we know that we have thousands of Bahamians quite capable of doing those jobs on those ships much better than the people who are currently doing it from other countries. We know that we speak better English than them. And you know, English is the acceptable, recognized maritime language. So we ain't got to work on English. We know we could work harder than most of them because we're stronger than most of them. Why we easy, you know? But anyway, I am saying that the BMA and the Port Department needs, although they need to help more. They need to actually guide these guys along. Because this institution should have been set up by the Bahamas Maritime Authority, because they have an obligation in their in their act to create and expand opportunities for Bahamians in the maritime sector. And how you create and expand without training people? So what training system you put in place, Mr. BMA? What training system you put in place, Mr. Port Department, pertaining to Bahamians certifying to become maritime professionals in the deck and engine areas? And I want one of y'all to call. The number to call again, 326-8255. Because y'all doing some things, you know. And tell us what you're doing. Don't have me thinking you're doing jack poop. Because I know you're doing some things. But let's make sure the public is aware of those things that you were doing to assist this national, which you deem is now a National Maritime Training Institute. You got some other things going on here. And one of those things is, what are realistic employment opportunities that should be affiliated with certification being attained from this National Training Institute? So, I got to break that down. See, this is a bit technical tonight. And it ain't all that technical. But I just need to keep it on even keel with the international standards. Right? And This is a simple question. Basically asking what employment opportunities somebody should expect when they go through this training institute and become certified in something. And I would hasten to tell you, my dear listener, that the opportunities are vast. They are vast because we got a lot of cruise ships, not only coming to our country, but registered under the Bahamas flag. We are in bed with the cruise ships. The cruise ships are in bed with us because we are the #1 country in the world. And I keep saying it because some people need to understand how big an achievement that is. The #1 country in the entire globe that registers cruise ships or has cruise ships on our register. No other country, mind you, got plenty of other countries ahead of us with the amount of ships, but none ahead of us with the amount of cruise ships, or as they call them, passenger ships. Right? Because we battle when it comes to cruise ships. But that also means that we're in bed with a lot of cruise ship owners. We're in bed with a lot of cruise ships operators. We're in bed with a lot of cruise agencies for cruise ships. And we here in the Bahamas need to find a way to galvanize all of this so that it can work heavily and deeply to our benefits. It sounds good, to say that we got more cruise ships than any other country in the world on our registry. But it sounds even better to say that our citizens have employment access to more cruise ships than any other country in the world. Our citizens, once they certify, can very readily get a job on a cruise ship because we brag about how we have over 1,500 ships in general, not just cruise ships now. Cruise ships ain't got much. Cruise ships, we got more passengers, more cargo ships than cruise ships, eh? But let's say we have 100 cruise ships. That means we got like 1,400 cargo ships. What are cargo ships? The ships out there that carrying containers, oil and gas, bulk, like cement and salt and rocks and whatever you put in the whole of the ship in bulk when you're packaging it, right? And we have a lot of those on our flags. And we also need to get some Bahamians on not only those cruise ships, but some of those others. And why we got this? Why wouldn't we say, well, let's just stick to cruise ships? Because we got so much cruise ship, and each cruise ship have a hotel department. And we could get waiters, we could get cooks, we could get bartenders, right? We doing it every day in our major hotels. Ain't nobody can do it better than us. So why do you think we can't do it on those cruise ships as well? Open the door, widen it. Let's get that institute with that institute name and it used to be COB as UB now, but they got the UWI got a tourism training area. They also got a cutlery, I think, or something like that, whatever you call it, where people learn how to wake in restaurants. They train you how to be waiters and chefs and cooks and all those things in this institution right here in Nassau. So when out of hands of that cutlery and hotel management area at UB grasp with the hand of LJM Maritime Institute and engage courses based on the SCCW code and any other regulation for people to serve on board ships as chefs and as waiters, if there are any, and busboys and all the rest of that stuff, because we got the most cruise ships, so we got the most hotels. Each one of those cruise ships is a hotel, and some of them bigger than Elias. You ever see those big ones like Oasis class and these new ones? You ever see them to the dock? It's like That's like a whole Atlantis hotel sitting on the dock. Granted, it is spread out, but they're carrying probably just as much passengers as Atlantis carry guests. They probably got just as much restaurants on board as Atlantis get in their arsenal, right? And I did a lot of cruises, so nobody need to tell me nothing but cruise ships. But what I'm saying, it's just like how Atlantis hires people, and a lot of Bahamians say, boy, I wish I could get a job at Atlantis. Boy, I'd be, they pay good, this, do this, they do it. How about I wish I could get a job on a cruise ship? And once I go to LJM, I could do a course there, even if it's in conjunction with the hotel management school, and I could get on a cruise ship in the restaurant or the hotel department or on one of the bars, and everything I make get in the bank, because I on a cruise ship eating free, I traveling free, I just free baby. So if you could do all of that for free plus be paid, you might want to wait to Atlantis or Bahamas. You may decide, well, let me go to sea for 8 months and save some money. When you come back, you could buy yourself a car, because you got 5-6 grand, that money down payment for car these days, eh? Buy yourself a car, and then after 2 or 3 trips, go put down on a house. And so if you spend 10 years out to sea, you got your car, your house, couple of apartments already, you straight. But it has to start with us, the Bahamas, utilizing our resources to create and expand opportunities for Bahamians to get jobs from LJM on those ships. Mind you, there's a lot going on now, because Disney is big with LJM. Carnival is big with LJM, especially RCCL. Got a lot of Bahamians on those ships. But if you got 1,500 ships, we don't even have 100 Bahamians working on that. We should have over 1,500. We should have one Bahamian on each one of our ships. I mean, if you say 2 or 3, then boy, I don't know if you could find enough Bahamians, right? But the thing is, instead of allowing our young men, most of whom we know to smoke dope, to get caught up in that, because they didn't get that opportunity when they were 17 or 18 to join a cruise ship after going to LJM, after being in the Maritime Cadet Corps. Mind you, these are discipline situations we're talking about. So the fella even want to smoke no dope if he know he's going to work on a cruise ship, but if he smoke dope, he can get that job. Why would he want to smoke dope? He don't want to smoke no dope. He tell you, boy, I don't focus. One like me. I ever tell you my story? I stopped smoking dope when I was 16. Because I said I want to join the Defense Force, and I was serious. I want to go away to England. So me and all my friends used to be hitting joints and doing what he had to do. But when I turned 16, I said, look here, I had enough of that. This ain't what I want to do. I need to start studying, because I want to go off to England to be a Defense Force officer. And you could have the same attitude of being an officer on one of those cruise ships. And especially people like me, who came up in an environment when nobody could afford to send you to college. Nobody could afford to send you to COB in them days, because you would have to pay. But guess what? I didn't know private school. I didn't even expect that I would move on in life to do as well and become what I became, just by virtue of focusing on I want to get out of here and go out to sea. I want to be on the Defense Force. I want to go out to sea on a cruise ship. I want to go out to sea on a bulk carrier. And what's the difference between going to sea on a cruise ship and going to sea on a bulk carrier as an officer? I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is cruise ships, while they look so pretty and while they are so nice and smashing, they don't treat you, they don't give you enough space because the space for most of the passengers, so you're a little cabin, you probably got a share cabin with somebody, right? But when you're on those cargo ships, your cabin so big and huge, and you could run around your bed, because they have plenty of room for the crew to live. When you're on those cargo ships, the voyages you do it are not fixed like the cruise ships. When on the cruise ship, they're on a 7-day cruise that they keep repeating. So you're going over the same navigational charts, the same routes, the same everything. But those cargo ships are liable to go anywhere in the world and pick up cargo and take it anywhere else in the world. You know what that means? You find yourself crossing the Atlantic, crossing the Pacific, going through the Panama Canal, going through the Dover Straits between England and France, what they call it, the English Channel, going through the Mediterranean Sea, Suez Canal, well, you're entering there nowadays, because some movies will do you in, right? But you get to do some extensive navigation that you would not normally do on a cruise ship. So you learn navigation better because you got to plan your voyages. Your voyage planning will have to kick in for almost every trip you go on. You see, so don't knock the cargo ships, because while the cruise ships got you looking pretty and smiling, those cargo ships are where you really learn how to deal with those big seas. You know, where you learn to plan your passage, where you learn celestial navigation. Because when you're in the middle of the Atlantic or the Pacific or one of those oceans, Indian Ocean, whatever ocean, you ain't seen no land for this. So you have nothing to fix on. Your radar only can pick up other ships in the area. You ain't can pick up nothing fixed, no land. So you gotta learn to put a fix on the chart by using the heavenly bodies. Why are you getting so deep in all this? I don't even know. All I know is this information got to get out, man. We need our young people from primary school to understand that there is an opportunity for you in the maritime sector. All you got to do is do well enough in school to get a scholarship to LJM. And before you get a scholarship, we want you to join the Maritime Cadet Corps. Once you get a scholarship and you do well and you get certified, man, the sky's the limit. Money like dirt. You could go on a cruise ship, you could go on a cargo ship, you could go on Defense Force, and we can talk about Defense Force too, because Defense Force, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, hire more maritime personnel than any other institution in this country. So there's no reason why the Defense Force cannot make it a criteria that before you even apply to us, we need you to be a certified deck or engine person, even on the rating scale or on the officer scale from LJM. And that is easy to do. And if you say, okay, we want them younger, we don't even want them to go to LJM. Well, when they join the Defense Force, and I'm speaking to my good friend, Commodore King, when anybody joins that force and they're in the training department, please arrange with LJM to send some instructors to the Defense Force Base Training Department to ensure that those Marines, before they pass out, have a certification as a rating forming part of a navigation watch or a rating forming part of an engine watch. They can even go ahead and be a rating able seaman. And those officer candidates, make sure they get officer in charge of navigation watch or engineering officer in charge of navigation watch. I mean, this is easy to do. You can do this while in training. And before they can be promoted in that force, you make sure these ratings and engineers get the able seafarer engine or able seafarer deck and all of these things. I don't want to hear no foolishness, but the Royal Bahamas Defense Force can do our own certification. That was rubbish. And that's nonsense. Because it is not designed for the military to certify nobody. Yes, you do training and courses that may be equivalent to some of the certification, but you can't certify them. That's a no-no. The Coast Guard will tell you that. The Navy will tell you that. The Army, the Air Force, none of them have certification courses that they could use commercially. So what did the Jamaica Defense Force do? They sent some of their officers and allowed them to go in the commercial area, and they give them, well, you always give leave of absence, not leave of absence, what you call it? In-house, what do you call it? In-service award? You always give in-service award for people to go be almost any kind of thing they need on the Defense Force. So why can't you give in-service award to Defense Force personnel who are sailing on bulk carriers and sailing on cruise ships to become master mariners and chief engineers? Why? Does that not make sense? Would that not help the entire Defense Force to strengthen itself? Because you know it shall be compared to what it used to be. Anybody calling in? 326-8255. I want some of these Defense Force people to call in and tell me what you think about making sure that before you advance somebody in that force, well, you know promotions is going a little dirty sometimes. Most of the times. Because when I was there going dirty. But I just hope it ain't getting as dirty as it used to go. But if you make it mandatory, make it a criteria for these people to be certified commercially before they get a Defense Force promotion, that will level the playing field to a big extent. So I want your Defense Force people call and tell me what y'all think. 326, hey, don't be scared. Well, don't I ain't let them know this, because you know there's a vindictive country, there's a vindictive force, and all kind of foolishness that's going on when they stand up and talk. But I didn't care. That's why I didn't want to promote me, because you know I used to talk anyhow. I was never scared. Anyway, people, you're listening to Maritime Matters. I don't know if we can finish the show with all these things I got to say, because by the way, they're running out of some things, but I didn't write down. But all of these are Maritime affiliated. And all of these things are LJM affiliated. Because this whole program is about how are we going to utilize this National Maritime Institute to get our people through and on board those ships as seafarers. And we got a long way to go. So let me just move on and finish up with all we could be discussing. Because you talk about the cruise ships, you talk about the realistic opportunities, employment opportunities that should be affiliated with certifying from this institution, right? Cruise ships, container ships, bulk carriers, tankers, we in bed with all them, man. We could get people on those ships. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force, we need to use this institution to strengthen that force. The Bahamas Maritime Authority, how much people in the Bahamas Maritime Authority working in the technical department and are not Bahamians? Because you know they'll say, oh, we ain't going to be able to certify my bongi. Yes, we do. We got plenty of them, and we always have plenty of them. But the BMA just don't want to give them opportunities to work in that technical lab in London. And I know it because I was there. And there was a mandate that they have Bahamians working in there. And don't let me have to find it and pull it up now. This, when the BMA was being formed in 95, 96, they had two consultants. They did a review. They did an audit. They did a report of the existing Maritime Affairs Department. And you know what this, and I have a copy of it. You know what these two auditors stated? That when the BMA is formed, the minute that is formed, they should identify suitably qualified Bahamians to go and understudy every single deputy director in the BMA. So a Bahamian should have been tagged with every deputy director to take over that position, because all of them was foreign, all of them was, well, not all was British, but all was Europeans. Even when I was there, a lot of them were foreign. It was only myself and Captain Dwayne Hutchison who now running the whole bang. Dwayne was there, I was there. And there wasn't nobody else. And then later on, T.O. Devaney came in. And anybody been in a sense? Well, we got people who was in Nassau, but not to go and wait in the London office with all the action going on. And we need to bring that office to Nassau. And I can keep saying it. If the government didn't want to do it, that on them, but they can't say Glenn Bean didn't say it. Right? It needs to come to Nassau, and we need to put Bahamians to understudy these people so that Bahamians can get that exposure. And while I was in the BMA, Captain Hutchison came to Nassau because, you know, he was an assistant director when I was senior nautical inspector. So I mean, I was basically on the same wavelength, right? And we were very close. Good guy, Dwayne. We made him do plenty of things together, and I can tell you he's my friend. Dwayne and I went to the base. All instructions from the director of the Maritime, I'm John Melvin Jones at the time. We went to the base to meet with the Commodore. I can tell you who the Commodore was, but this one was kind of silly, right? This Commodore we're going to meet with decided, who we are saying was yes? And he got one of his captains to go and talk to us. You know what we went to talk about? We were mandated to make this offer to the Royal Bahamas Defence Force that the BMA in London would pay house and take care of 2 Defence Force officers on a rotational basis. 2-year rotational basis to come and work along with the technical team in London to help with the workload. That's what was. We went to the base to discuss with this Commodore. And he was so high and mighty that he couldn't even meet and discuss that with us. And you know that never happened. But Commodore King, Commodore Dr. Raymond King, you know this is my passion. And there's no way why this cannot happen now. The Commodore at the time, we know we had some, this one was one of the upper ones. That Commodore turned it down. Didn't allow it to happen because that Commodore didn't want to see officers of Defence Force get this exposure to understand what maritime is all about. But Captain Hutchison, it's you who was there with me. So you know what we was trying to do. So you now need to do that handshake or make that call to Commodore Dr. Raymond King and make this happen. Because I know you want it to happen, and I know Dr. King wants it to happen, because I spoke with both of you all. So get together and make this happen. Get some Royal Bahamas Defence Force officers on a rotational basis going through that technical lab in London so that the entire Defence Force officer corps can understand what it is when they come across a commercial ship, what the ship documentation should look like, what the surveys and audits and all the rest. Each one of them should become port state inspectors, and that will increase your port state inspection regime here in the Bahamas. Anyway, what now I should say, I digress. Is that a call online, producer? Oh, caller, I am so sorry for having you waiting. Calling on Maritime Matters, hello.
Hey, good evening. How you doing, brother?
Top shape and getting better, my friend. Boy, thanks for calling. You rescued me because I think I was going a little deeper. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, my concern is, I hear you week by week on the shows with your passion and all of that, and I support you. I have a lot of family members in that. But my concern is the government doesn't have it as a priority. That is my concern, because it ain't like you're not being heard. They hear you. They know you there. They know what you're saying. They are aware. They're not living in a vacuum. They are aware, Glenn. The problem we have in the country is when people in power believe that, they're all of it. It starts ends with them. Like one government official said one time, the Freedom of Information Act is not a priority. The government is not going to waste time trying to formulate that at this moment. When people make those type of statements, and you don't hear nothing about certain things anymore, it tells you what their escape mine is.
Yeah, they don't have the will to do it.
They don't have to. Well, and they're not concerned. They're not.
Yeah, they don't care.
They see which door you go. Now, what you're talking about is bringing the Bahamians up to the level of world professionals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They hear you, you know. They hear you. But what does it take to get them to move in the direction that,
Boy.
you know, they should be moving based on what you're saying? What is it going to take? They hear you.
You know, I offer my services free to the government. I mean, all I can do is ask, and I tell them, let's do it like this, or let's try it like that. But they don't even check. Like you say.
Like I say. All right.
Yeah, they don't even have the will.
In this country, things work on priority. The government makes a list of priorities. This is how I see this. The government has a list of priorities. No matter how serious something may appear to be to you and I, if that does not seem so serious to the government, you and I are going to suffer.
Yeah, that to sit on the shelf and catch dust.
Yeah. So the government, like you've been saying, why are all the foreigners at the top jobs? Where's the BMA? They're not the BMA. The thing where it's mandated for Bahamians to be.
But this is from 1996, you know, my friend.
Yes, yeah. So the governments have changed, coming on. But what is happening there? It's not a priority.
But I'm not sure this time, in this situation, was the government. It was that Commodore that stopped that from happening. The government probably didn't even know. John Michael Jones set out to try and merge the two by providing that option for Defense Force officers to come and get that exposure while they helped the BMA at the same time, because the BMA was short staffed. And sometimes...
So now, you don't think, I mean, so many years...
No, but it because that Commodore didn't allow it to happen, another Commodore got to be willing.
So what is it benefiting but not allowing it to happen?
Yeah, that was just a silly Commodore. A lot of things that Commodore did that was really stupid. Right? And I could tell you, because, you know, I was part of that force. Plus I was part of the BMA. Plus I was part of trying to make this thing happen.
But so where are the people that were working along with you? You could not have been doing it alone. I mean, where was the support? Where's the support that you had? Where are those persons now?
At the time,
they would have said, okay, Glenn, we with you. Let's push this thing harder. Where are these people?
At the time, I was in the BMA, and like I say, Captain Dwayne Hutchinson, who's now the general manager, or what they used to call the director of the BMA. He's the head honcho. He's now the head honcho. But back then, Nina was basically at the same level where he was assistant director in technical, and I was a senior nautical inspector in the Bahamas. So he's now in charge, and well, of course, I moved on. But he is quite aware of what I'm talking about, because he and I did it together. And we were mandated by the then director, who was a British man. And it's the Bahamian man who stopped it from happening.
Boy, that's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, and the captain that we met with is retired now. And he's a very good friend of mine. And he had no say. You know, if the boss tell you to meet with these people, when you go to the boss, so I figure that's it. Man, I ain't got time to work with them. And the captain can't do nothing but that. And that captain never became a Commodore.
Okay. What ministry does that fall under?
Well, it's the BMA falls under Ministry of Transport, right? And Defense Force obviously fall under Ministry of National Security. So it's two different ministries.
Fall under the transport, and the men fall under national security.
Yes. So the job that is being offered in London, that the BMA is prepared to pay the guys living accommodations, give them subsistence allowance, transportation allowance, and all the rest of that, because they're already paid by the Defense Force, right? They don't have to wear Defense Force uniform while they're there, but they're like how Defense Force secons people to road traffic and port department and everywhere else in the world. They was just going to basically be seconding these two guys on a rotational basis to the technical hub of the BMA in London, in the London office. But see, that too good of an opportunity as far as that Commodore was concerned.
Yeah, thing is this, because this is what I'd like to see. And this is my suggestion. Because the matter has got to start to grow legs. It just can't keep knocking on closed doors and nobody just peeping through the keyhole, seeing you, and then going back down in the room. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
So maybe you ought to get a meeting with the minister or whoever it is, and physically sit down. I don't care how long it takes, and let them see how passionate, how serious, and how valuable it is to have Bahamians play a role in that, in those areas, because they hear you now, just like I hear you. But I think it's going to take a little more than what we're doing now. We keep doing. You're doing a great job, but we've got to up the effort and make a little bit more inroads. That's what I think right now, because let them tell you to your face, no, we ain't gonna do it. But not for the sake of for you not going to them and showing them, what you're trying to achieve.
Oh, I've been already to them, and I've gotten the commitment that yes, we would do that. Mm-hmm. But getting that commitment without action, when they say prayers without faith is dead. Faith without works is dead. Well, it's like talks without action.
And that's what it is, They need to tell you, they're in the front of that man, it's the best thing in the world. But then you leave, well, that's it.
Guest us. Yeah, that proposal guest us.
Good luck, Jen.
Thank you for calling, man. And continue to listen up. Be a part of our Maritime show, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. And that caller understands that we have drawbacks in our system that keeps us dumbed down. Because the only thing that would have happened if you had those two Defense Force officers on a rotational basis going to London in the technical hub of the BMA, if we had that happening, at least 50-60% of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force officer corps would have already been through that procedure. Excuse me. And haven't gone through that procedure, they would have been far more knowledgeable. And most of them could have served as port state inspectors right in our country, right here, downtown and Clifton Pier, just inspecting those ships. Even sometimes going to Freeport, because they have the knowledge, and this will also spur them on to sign on to LJM to get their certification, their commercial certification as captain of a ship up to 3,000 gross. And that's what I had to get. And once I got that, my life changed. Never look back. And I say, any Defense Force officer that has gone to Dartmouth and Pass can very readily become a master mariner once given that opportunity. And right now, while we have about 12 or 13 captains, which are next Commodore, not one of them is a master mariner or chief engineer commercially. But every single one of them should have been, in my opinion. And we can make this happen. This is a small force. Something like this is doable. Is that another call? Oh. Call you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, Cap, what's going on?
Hey, General boy. Everything cool. What's happening, man? What you saying?
Is the opportunity still open for Bahamians?
The opportunity is always open for Bahamians, and the BMA needs to create and expand more opportunities for Bahamians.
Yeah, the one in London right now for those people?
But that's what I'm saying. That's only a matter of the Commodore talking with the BMA director, Dwayne Hutchinson, who's aware of this, because he and I approached Defense Force together, and saying, okay, we can start and saying, damn, that's all need to happen.
Well, guess what? You can't be like a black crab prison. I mean, whoever needs to go, because if we are what we are when it comes to ship registry and these big old commercial ships and stuff like that, we need technical people, we need the expertise, and this is the time to get it. If you're going to get it for free, we have to should be jumping on all over these things.
Yeah, because
we shouldn't be selfish when it comes down to things like that. I mean, I know it's a jealousy, but who's trying to get up in the ranks and whatnot like that? That's hogwash, bro. You know what I mean? You serve to get up.
Yeah, we just get a lot of people whenever they get a little bit of power. They like to flex and they don't want to see nobody get nothing. It hurt them to see people get exposure, you know?
Yeah, let me tell them this right now, you know what I mean? All y'all who in the forces, stop y'all jealousy. Because jealousy is a sin. Only God can be jealous. I don't know what you're looking at the next man for. Sell your TV and buy a fan. All we need is our work to be done in the Bahamas. Protect us. Stop doing foolishness when y'all go about talking about y'all representing us. It's certain people in the Bahamas that need representation and need qualified people to do it. If you're not qualified, leave the job and go home.
That's right. Yeah, my brother. So everything cool up there? I know the cool weather should be coming around now. After all the heat gone, you all up in ports. You all be cool in us.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I got two brothers out there who was on the force, one more there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And anytime you need someone to call on, I know you can call on them, and they will be there for you, brother.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
They come up under me. And then they ain't no push overs and they don't play.
Thank you very much.
You know what I mean? We don't need those kind of people to play. And when you're coming from Savannah, you know what I mean? You know what you get when you get a person on the force or in a position to do things for Bahamian people. Savannah people don't play with the world, but
yeah, we had Savannah Sound, we had Tappan Bay, we had those guys from the family island. There were quite a few from Exuma, quite a few from Andros, Elutra, Abaco. No man, when they come to join the force, they be serious. But like I say, it's those people who are those commodores. You know how much things sit on that desk. And they, instead of just identifying people to do these free courses, they just let the courses base.
No, but guess what? Push them on the side right now, and guess what? I will be calling certain people asking about it, and I mean, so they will have, is what say if they want to, because I could be putting it in the air for people that can make a difference.
Yeah, they just need, these commodores just need to have the right mindset to give exposure where exposure is due, so that the force could be strengthened. They're just selfish thinking people, you know, but not all of them. But certainly one or two that I know of.
I'll tell you something. I can put this in the air where it needs to be, because I be working on certain things and things that is happening around me sometimes, you know what I mean? You don't got to be out there with your big mouth and things like that, you know what I mean? Just put it in the right people's ass and things happen.
I'm with you on that, my friend.
All right, then. You talk to you, man.
Yeah, man. You take it easy and we'll keep in touch. Thank you for calling. All right. Yes, that's my good old friend King Arthur. He's old Savannah Sound, man, and boy, he never forget that. Although he lived up in 8 Mile Rock, the biggest settlement in the Bahamas, but he's a maritime man. He spent time on the sea, he knows a lot about the sea, and he and I are always engaged in discussions of this sort. So we're talking about the BMA wanting to have Defense Force officers some time ago. Just on a continuous basis, having officers seconded, whether it be engineering officers or deck officers, just so that they can get a taste of the real world, and I'll tell you what they want them to do, because I used to go up there and do it, right? When the classification societies have to do surveys on ships, those surveys have to be sent in to the BMA for filing. So what the BMA does is they make sure those surveys coming in, and if they have non-conformities and stuff, they're being followed up, and all of the BMA annual inspections for those 1,500 ships. When the inspector does them, they have to send them into the BMA to see what deficiencies and all the rest of that stuff affiliated with those, and then all the audits for ISPS and ISM and all. So it's a lot of follow-up work they got to do to make sure each of these ships are doing things on a timely basis and following up on deficiencies and whatnot. And then that will get them to understand so much about surveys and inspections and audits and all the rest of that stuff in the international maritime fleet. Because I could guarantee you 90% of people in the family don't have a clue about these things. I could guarantee you that. They don't know what these certificates even look like. They don't know these surveys and all that. How would they? So, that's a call? Oh, I know what's going on. I must be pounding on the desk. Oh, I think that's it. Yeah. My apology, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the BMA giving that option to the Defence Force to have 2 men seconded in the office of the BMA in London, assisting with the technical work that happens in that office. That's only one small item, because they also got areas where they're dealing with all the crew licenses, captain, chief engineer, mate, officer of watch, oilers and wipers, and you name it. So that's another area of exposure. But all of these things can happen more readily if the Defense Force ties in with the LJM Institute and start allowing their people to sail so that they can become certified in certain areas where they could use that certification and that experience and bring back into the Defense Force and keep that going to the level where those ships, if you think about the ships that come here on a routine basis, we got ships that come to bring cargo, like tropical ships and barricade ships and all those ships that go our key, right? Those ships hardly ever break down. They work harder than Defense Force ships. They move every day. They hardly break down. You know why? Because the people who are certified to work on those ships, they know how to maintain those machinery, and they don't cut no corners when it comes to maintaining them. And they are surveyed every year by people who used to serve as chief engineers and master mariners, coming to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. That don't happen in the Defense Force. Neither of them. First of all, they don't have certified people, and second of all, they don't have surveys and inspections and audits like the commercial fleet does. But if they get officers who are capable of doing these port state inspection surveys and inspections and surveys, like Theo Devaney learned to do after he left, like I learned to do after I left, like Herbie Bean learned to do after he left, like Albert and Bristol learned to do after he left. We could have been doing this in the Defense Force. But we just have some tunnel vision leaders who think they're doing you a favor when you go there to be exposed to bring that back to the force. They think they're doing you a favor. Dumbness. Woo! I'm running out again. I shouldn't run out, right? So, we talk about the realistic employment opportunities that should be affiliated with certification being attained from this National Training Institute. And we talk about the cruise ships, the container ships, the bulk carriers, the tankers, and then we came down to the Defense Force, the BMA, and then we talk about coastal tankers, because we got all them tankers that move from Clifton Pier to go around the Bahamas to service or carry fuel to the Family Islands. You think they run by Bahamians? Well, let me have Bahamian captain on one or two of them. No Bahamian engineers, not chief engineers. I don't even think they get Bahamian cooks. Yeah, they get a couple Bahamian seafarers like able seamen, and I don't know how certified they are, but the reality is every single person on those vessels, because they operate domestically in our country, should be all Bahamians. Our mailboat fleet, I mentioned it 2 shows ago. Our mailboat fleet is now infested with what they're supposed to be using. Infested with foreign crew members. One time ago, when you go in Porter's Key, you ain't get no foreigners working on our boats. Now, when you go in Porter's Key, you get non-Bahamians left, right. You can hardly find a Bahamian working on that boat now. You know why? Because a lot of entities ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing. First of all, the Maritime BMA supposed to make sure those boats are being surveyed to issue local safety certificates. Second of all, the port department, when they're doing the inspection, to make sure that they have the local safety certificate and make sure that they're not violating the Port Authority Act, which says only Bahamians should have an A or B class license. Only Bahamians, and implement the license that the engineer should have, and put that in the boat registration. But you see why they never want me on none of these boards? Because I can pin them down to do what's supposed to be done. And maybe a little late now to get me on any boards. I think they're trying to use me. But they don't want these things done the way they should be done. That's why they put these people on these boards who don't have a clue what they're doing or what's supposed to be happening based on that. Because they put real people on these boards, they will get the job done, and you will not see those bunch of foreigners on our mailboats. I don't blame the boat owners, because if I can take advantage enough, one or two Filipinos and plenty Filipinos and plenty Hondurans and all the rest of that, and I pay them half of what I'll pay the Bahamians, or 3/4 of what I'll pay the Bahamians. Plus they can stay on the boat because they ain't got no house to go, no home to go to. When the boat in here, I got free security. Why wouldn't I do that if I allowed to do that? Why would I put a Bahamian through LJM or sponsor one or two Bahamians or to go through there to certify to come back and wake up my ship if I could just get foreigners who are already certified from their own country come and do these jobs? Nobody checking. That's why it's happening. I'm blaming the boat owners. I'm blaming the authorities who have in their act provisions that cause this stuff to not happen, and they're not enforcing them. And I won't mention the immigration department. My goodness. Anyway, we're talking about realistic opportunities, employment opportunities in the maritime sector after getting certified through LJM, right? We talk about the BDF, the BMA, the coastal tankers, the mail boats, freight boats, tugboats, ferry boats, all of them. Anything out there would operate as far as the boat registration are concerned. Excuse me. The owner should have a registration under the BMA, and the captain supposed to be a B class or A class license holder, depending on where that vessel will go, right? We can talk about that a little further on. I don't run out of time. I have to do the show again. We'll be really talking about the nitty gritties of the A and B license, the nitty gritty of what is required for one of those mail boats to be able to operate in the Bahamas by virtue of the local safety certificate, and also the STCW certifications that apply even to vessels on domestic voyages. It's just so much to be addressed. But I can do as much as I could, as often as I could, and we'll see where we go with that, right? The number to call again, people, 326-8255. We have 2 calls, boy, but we could do it 1 more. We could do it 2 more. And if you feel froggy, we'll do 3 more. So, other opportunities ashore now. Now, we just talking about all those opportunities on those ships. What about opportunities ashore? Which means the facilities that is affiliated with maritime activities, like the Grand Bahamas Shipyard Limited. Grand Bahamas Shipyard Limited brings in, when they're busy, hundreds of foreigners to get the job of ship care done. And I'll be the first to tell you, we don't have Bahamians qualified. We don't have big qualified welders. Not welders, we have welders. We don't have fitters. Because you don't get just welding when you're dealing with those ships. When you're cropping out and putting back in, you're dealing with fitting, because the thickness of the steel in certain areas are different. The type, it's just this thing getting to see, so you don't play around with that, right? You have to be class approved and type approved and all the rest of that with the material you're using in order to be working on these type of ships. But there's no way you could tell me after, let's see how much years that was, 2002, I think the first dock came in, or was it 2001. The first dock came in to the Grand Bahamas Shipyard and started to deal with taking ships out of the water to do ship care. 2001, let's say 2000. From 2000 to 2024, 24 years later, we have not gotten Bahamians certified to the extent where they could do this fitting. It ain't gonna take 5 years to learn. But we need to get some Bahamians off to school or get some international fitters here to train our Bahamians to eventually, on a strategic basis, in say 10, 12 years, be able to do those jobs. Because the shipyard ain't going nowhere no time soon, you know. They could bring in those two monsters, dry docks, and become the biggest in this hemisphere. You think they plan on going anywhere in the next 50 years? So, our government, by way of the BMA, should expand and create opportunities for Bahamians to get those type jobs at the shipyard over a period of time. And they can sit back and say, oh, and that's a class. No, you're in bed with class. No, you're in bed with all these regulations. So, you know where all training institutions are, Mr. BMA. Let's get it done. And then we got the Buckeye. Buckeye is one of the largest oil storage. Well, we know after 15, 20 years, there will be no more storage of oil because the world moving away from oil and gas. You get a solar and wind farm and all the rest of that stuff. But in the meantime and in between time, companies like Buckeye and Lewithorn, which used to be Statoil, which we know to be South Ryan Boy, they would be more than happy to have Bahamians on their team that are certified, people who went to sea and became master mariners, people who went to sea and became chief engineers, to run their systems at their sites. Because most of them got to be bringing in foreigners to do it. Because we don't have a good volume of Bahamians with this type of certification, and there's no reason why we shouldn't. No reason why we shouldn't. Now we got LJM, let's make it happen. Morton Salt, same thing. Let's make it happen. Give Morton some options for some of those people on the NAGWA to come and go to LJM, certify in the maritime field, and work ashore, understanding what it takes after they've been to sea a couple of times to really deal with this type maritime affiliated work, eh? Resort World, Bimini, Freeport Container Port, Freeport Harbor Company. They got CMEX and Bahama Rocket, and you name it. A lot of maritime institutions that deal with international shipping that could use internationally qualified Bahamians in those areas. So we got a lot of training categories as well. I think I could take a break and come back to training because we almost finished, you know. I even ain't finished with my first PC and we almost finished. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. On this show, we talk maritime. And I've been running and reading and running on, and then we had a couple of calls, and we're really talking about opportunities for Bahamians in the maritime field by way of that institution we got called the LJM Maritime Institute, which is dubbed our National Training Institute for Maritime in the Bahamas, eh? And that's how we could be rolling. So we moved to our only break. I ain't got no first break. It's the only break we have today. And when we return, we'll wrap up the categories of the trainings that should be offered at this institution. And it's just so much we miss. But anyway, we're going to wrap that up. And I guess by the time that's finished, it'll be time for the show to close out, eh? But be waiting for you to call 326-8255. We would accept your call if you have any views on this institution and about this employment opportunities for Bahamians and all the rest of that. We talk a lot about Defense Force situation. We hear from none of them. We talk a lot about BMA situation. We hear from none of them. Port Department. We hear much from none of them. I don't know why. But that's how we roll in. Do we have a call? Oh boy, you catch me just before the break. Calling you on Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling in.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Top shape and getting better, my dear. How are you?
Great. I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
I'm affiliated to some men and women who graduated from LJM Maritime Academy.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And so I have two questions. Is there any way you can move to prime time? Or
what you call prime time?
Can it be recorded and replayed in the nighttime so they can hear it and listen and be inspired?
Well, they could listen to any one of my shows at any time if they go to Maritime Matters Bahamas on YouTube, search,
Oh.
Yeah, we have a web page, Maritime Matters Bahamas. That's our web page. You go there anytime, and you could listen to all of it. We started from 2 years ago. All the shows are up there.
Excellent. Oh, wonderful. And then there's the contact for you on the site? I have some ideas I'd like to share.
No, man, my number is 359-1424. I'll be more than happy for all those LJM students. Give me a call anytime, because I talk to a lot of them right now.
Right, excellent. 359.
1424.
I didn't hear you.
359-14.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I should stand still. 359.
Yeah, 14. 24.
Okay, Captain Bain. Thank you
very
so very much. I really love your show.
Thank you so much, and thank you for calling. And please continue to listen. We
Yes,
keep
I
it moving.
will.
Thank you so
sir.
much. Okay. Yes, that's another call just before we move to our break. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we move to our break, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. Call I see on the line. We got a call on the line, so we dive straight into our call. Ooh. I know what's going on, Mr. Producer. Caller gone? Oh, okay. That must be the same caller. We apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. We're back listening to Maritime Matters. I am Captain Glenn Bain, your host. And tonight we are basically running on and ranting and raving all over about the LJM Maritime Institute. They have an upcoming conference on maritime. And we talking about how we could get them married into systems of maritime so that they can have more people in there to train, and our maritime institutions could be strengthened by way of that. And of course, there are many opportunities for Bahamians to gain scholarships to go to LJM. And once they're certified, we can get them jobs in so many different areas of maritime. And we got a lot of people that already went through LJM and are doing quite well. And I understand that we have a lot of people who went off to other maritime institutions, like in the US and Canada and whatnot, and when they got back, they went into LJM and finalized things so they could get their certification sorted out, and they were straight. So the last thing I didn't talk about is here, because we talk about all them other good stuff, right? We talk about, for example, what role the BMA should play surrounding by being a national maritime training institute, and the BMA should play all roles, because from the time somebody apply to go to that institution till they graduate, and the BMA should make sure that whole process came in with a quality system that is audited by them on a quality basis, and all the rest of that good stuff. The BMA should try and create and expand opportunities for Bahamians by utilizing that place and shaking their hands and shaking the hands of the ship owners and tying them together. These are things that the BMA should be doing. The BMA focuses primarily on international shipping, but they came from an entity called the Bahamas, Maritime Affairs Department, and that Maritime Affairs Department kind of concentrated only on domestic maritime and the fleet that want to go home trade and all that. Boy, and I can tell you about how they give out them home trade licenses back in the mid-80s to anybody who say they could have been a captain. They call grandfather them in, and some of them still holding that grandfather certification for 800 tons. I know some of them, and that was a good thing. But that's when they start to really close in on quality standards to certify, to serve on ships and all the rest of that stuff. Anyway, I've gone a bit far with that one. So the category, the area we didn't finish is categories of trainings that should be offered at the LJM. The LJM offers a litany of training right now, but in my opinion, what they should be offering, not that they're not offering some of these, but they need to offer all. For the international training is the watch officers course. That's deck watch officer and engine watch officers. Same thing, watch ratings. Rating forming part of a navigation watch, rating forming part of an engineering watch. These are directly, my friends, coming out of the STCW code or the STCW convention. Right? Part A and Part B codes. They speak to, the STCW speak to the basic safety training and a variety of endorsement courses and we can speak to that in a minute, although we only got about 5 minutes left, right? We want the LJM to also offer domestic courses. And the only thing we talk about domestically is the A and B licenses, eh? Because they come under the Boat Registration Act, and they're the only 2 domestic licenses that are mentioned. But the STCW code also let us know that you need anybody going in open seas. They need to have a master's certificate under 500 gross ton, and you need to have a mate. And see, this all ties in with what we call the local safety certificate. And when all is tied together, LJM will offer all of these courses, or can offer all these courses, so that everybody can have an opportunity to do that training, and the ship owners would have a good pool of certified people to choose from. And then we could target companies like Tropical Shipping, Betty K, who else? Crowley. Any regional company that does a lot of shipping will always be looking for good masters and mates and even deckhands. Because although people say, oh, Bahamians don't want to go to sea, I can tell you that ain't true. I live the life and I can tell you that ain't true. Man, you got some Bahamians who ain't never go to sea when you want to go to sea. You got some people, Bahamians who don't want to go to plane or learn to fly no plane. But that don't mean you don't have a goodly amount that wants to do it. If things can be put in place, if they can be advised of what they need to do from an early stage, and I go back to primary school, then you got the engineering side of things. Because in our country, one thing we don't have is a good cadre of engineers available who are certified. Most particularly in the marine engineering side. We got mechanics. But mechanics don't work on no boats. Mechanics don't, they fix cars and they fix engines and they fix things, but they don't know about systems on board ships. The cooling system, the bilge pumping system, the ballast tank system. These are things that our Bahamians can learn right there at LJM. Once given the opportunities, once given the guidance. So we can have certification, particularly for those mail boats and coastal tankers and freight boats and tugboats and ferry boats and stuff that we have operating right here in the Bahamas. Every chief engineer would need a certification of under 3,000 kilowatt machinery on board. And that certification should be available to be attained at LJM. And then we talk about endorsement courses, like, get quite a few of them. Basic safety training is for everybody. And that basic safety training came out a couple of years ago with the SCCW 95 program, where they made anybody who's going to be serving in any capacity at sea needs to do what they call the 4 core modules. Eh? And those 4 core modules was basic first aid, basic firefighting, survival techniques, and social responsibility. Excuse me. And at that time, Defense Force actually created on the base, and they were mandated to do this, a course for the basic safety training for all Bahamians from all over the Bahamas. People coming in from the family islands and living on the base doing this basic safety training. And the course was for what? Was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks? I can't remember the detail. I think it was a month. I don't even know. But all I know is they used to live there, go through this training, and they used to be like the recruits. They would all be in their bright orange overall, and they would be doing these things. I think it was only a week, But you got to do your firefighting 1 day or 2 days. You got to be in the classroom doing your first aid and all that. But when you finish that, you get your certification as a basic safety trained seafarer. And you would have the 4 core modules written on your certificate. And that means you are certified and qualified to work in any capacity on a ship, but you can't just work in any capacity. You got to qualify in those different capacities. But if you want to work on a ship, you have to have this basic safety training. So what the port department did at the time is they made anybody wanting to get a B or A license have to do the basic safety training first. And that's what made a lot of people go into the Defense Force Base and get that. And eventually it was taken out of there. And some of the people that taught it in there, like the Chris Russells and the Glenn Lightburns and some of those guys, they would open shop on the outside commercially and offer the same training, right? And that was a good thing for this country. And you still need that. But that's the basic safety training. And then you need things like, if you're working on a boat, you have a safety craft, what they call a lifeboat. You need to get your proficiency in survival craft, which means you are proficient to operate that lifeboat, to actually lower it, put it in the water, drive it. And these courses can be done again at the LJM. And this applies to rescue boats and that type of thing as well, right? And the advanced firefighting, now your basic safety training calls for basic safety training. But if you want to be an officer on a ship, whether you be an engineering officer or deck officer, you have to now do the advanced firefighting, because you are now the person in charge of the firefighting. You need to learn more than the guy who did the regular basic safety firefighting training, basic firefighting training. So you do an advanced firefighting, which again could be done at LJM. Your medical care provider. Because as an officer on a ship, you need to, if somebody slip and hurt themselves or get a gash and this, you need to know how to provide medical care out to sea. Because you ain't got no time to come and tell this person get in the hospital. They better than bleed to death. I mean, you only talk about tourniquets and stuff like that. You got to patch the people up too sometimes. Tourniquets may cause you death. Tourniquets is your last resort, they say. So ship security calls for 3 basic set of training, and the training that I do. So if you need that training, I go to LJM. Come to me. Or if you decide to go to LJM, I know Dr. Claire. Dr. Claire will be listening. But ISPS calls for, there's a 4-hour training for anybody working on board a vessel in any capacity, or working at a port facility in any capacity. There's a 10-hour training for anybody working on board a vessel doing security work, even if you're a crew member, or if you're working at a port facility that's going to be receiving these ships. Your security force, every single person should be certified by way of that 10-hour training. And then, of course, the one person responsible for ISPS. Look at my time and 109. That's the PFS, so Ship Security Officer, Company Security Officer. All right, I started 2 minutes late. I finished 2 minutes late. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go on here. The Radar Observer Unlimited Act, this Celestial Navigation, British Resource Management, all those things have to be done. So, with that said, and without another call coming in, I say to you, thank you so much for listening to our show, Maritime Matters. I especially thank my 3 callers who had some good injection into the show, and our sponsors, who are Bahamas Maritime Connection and the 2 pharmacies, Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport and 101 Pharmacy in Nassau. They keep the show going. So please support them when you need your medical stuff, because they got it all right there for you. And of course, my good producer, Mr. Craig Gibson. kept things ticking and talking. We missed 1 or 2 calls, but that's something to do with the system. So I always thank my producer for keeping things rolling. And ladies and gentlemen, I say to my good Auntie May up there in Freeport, good night again, Auntie May. Good night to you, Annie. Let's keep things ticking up there. And with that, as always, I say to you, Maritime Matters, tick, 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 out.